Hold on, hold on. Easy there. Take it easy, people. Damn. I know what you're thinking right now. This guy must be on something. Pokemon with no weaknesses? That doesn't exist. Wrong. Yes, my friends, there is actually a small group of Pokemon that break the usual rules and can end up with no weaknesses at all. And no, they don't become invincible. They still take damage, but it's gonna be way, way less than before. And just because they have no weaknesses doesn't necessarily mean they're broken or unbeatable. It all depends on how you use them. In competitive, for example, this might not even be the best idea sometimes. But all right, enough talking, let's get into it, because this gets really interesting. And real quick, just so we don't break tradition, if you enjoy content like this, curiosities, strategies, and fun Pokemon facts, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps this channel grow a lot and helps this video reach more people. And one more thing, quick disclaimer. Some of these Pokemon technically have no weaknesses, and others remove or bypass them with abilities or strategies. So don't get confused if you see something that's almost breaking the rules, alright? Alright, now let's go. Number 1, Electross. Let's start with one of the most classic examples in the franchise, our little electric water worm. Normally, pure electric type Pokemon have just one weakness, ground. But what if you're not touching the ground? Exactly, you already know the answer. 0 weaknesses. Electross has the ability Levitate, and if you didn't know, this ability makes the Pokemon immune to ground-type moves. It also protects it from entry hazards, like spikes and toxic spikes, and it doesn't get its speed reduced by sticky web either. So yeah, there you go. Because of that ability, it has no weaknesses. None. 0. Nada. So your opponent is like, okay, how am I supposed to hit this thing? It may not be the fastest and not the strongest either, but since you can't take it down quickly, it becomes really annoying to deal with. Now here's one that a lot of people have used before. Number 2, Arcanine. This one is very interesting. There's a pretty strong move called Burn Up, and only Fire-type Pokemon can use it. But after using it, it removes the Fire typing from the user. Yes, you literally stop being a Fire-type Pokemon. Now think about this. A Pokemon like Arcanine, which is pure Fire type, normally has weaknesses to water, ground, and rock. But after using this move, boom, you just removed all of them. No weaknesses. And depending on the situation, this can be incredibly useful to help it survive longer in specific battles. And it catches a lot of people off guard, because nobody expects a Pokemon to just delete its own typing mid-battle. It's the kind of moment where your opponent just stops and goes, wait, what just happened here? There are other Pokemon that can learn this move, but since many of them have dual typing, they'll still keep at least one weakness. Arcanine, on the other hand, doesn't. Number 3, Jolteon, Manectric, Luxray, and Raichu. Now, pay attention here, because this time it's not just one Pokemon, we've got a whole squad coming in and a combo too. Just like our electric worm from earlier, there's a way to make other electric-type Pokemon basically lose their ground weakness. And this time, the trick is a move called Magnet Rise. This move makes the Pokemon float for a few turns, making it immune to ground-type attacks. So if pure electric Pokemon like these use it, they temporarily end up with no weaknesses. And it's not just these 4. There's actually other pure electric types that can learn this move too. Now, if you thought that was cool, get ready, because the next one is a bit more complex, but it works on even more Pokemon. Number 4, Skill Swap plus Levitate. Now here's the thing. I didn't mention a specific Pokemon here, because the same ones we just talked about can use this strategy, and a few others too. And honestly, this is pretty clever. There are Pokemon like Cresselia, Bronzong, Claydol that can learn the move Skill Swap. And what this move does is simple. It lets you swap abilities with another Pokemon on the field. So check this out. If you have one of these Pokemon or any other that has Skill Swap, and also has the ability Levitate. You know, the same one that makes Electross float. Now imagine this in a double battle. Your partner Pokemon is a pure electric type, just like the ones we talked about earlier. Well, you just found another way to give them full immunity to ground-type moves. Now picture this. You do this with something like Raikou, for example. Man, your opponent might actually panic when their Earthquake does absolutely nothing. It takes a bit more setup, but it's another solid option, both for electric types and for the next Pokemon coming up. Number 5. Drapion, Alolan Muck, and Skuntank. Now these three have something in common with the electric types from before. They also have just one weakness. And yeah, that word "just" is very important here. Ground type. So here's where the strategy comes in again. Skill swap plus Levitate. You give them Levitate, and just like that, problem solved. Now what do you have? A Pokemon that has solid bulk, good stats, and no direct weaknesses. And in battle, this is a nightmare to deal with because your opponent completely loses that simple plan of how to beat you. And then it becomes a mind game because this is not something they see every day. And that's exactly where you gain the advantage. Number 6. Quagsire and Rookidee. Now this one you might have actually used before but didn't notice its second effect. Through the move Roost, Quagsire and Rookidee can do something similar to Burn Up. Roost heals half of your HP, but it also removes your flying type for that turn. And the reason I'm mentioning these two specifically is because they're pure flying type. So if they lose that type, they literally end up with no weaknesses at all. Let me give you two cool situations where you can take advantage of this. First, their final evolution, Corviknight, which by the way looks awesome. Normally, it would take heavy damage from electric moves, but if you use Roost, it becomes pure steel for that turn, which can really help it survive longer in certain battles, taking neutral damage instead, while also healing. Now, another interesting case, Talonflame, especially one with the ability Gale Wings. This ability gives priority to flying-type moves when your HP is full. So that nasty 4 times weakness to rock drops to 2 times when you remove the flying type. And that makes a huge difference, giving you a chance to strike back. It's basically like switching armor right in the middle of your opponent's attack, turning your Pokemon into a temporary wall just to reduce damage. Number 7. Spiritomb and Sableye. Now, hold on a second. I know some of you are already reaching for the comments, ready to say, actually, they do have a weakness. Bro doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm about to throw a brick at this guy. Relax, all right? The Spiritomb and Sableye I'm talking about here are the old generations. Back then, these things had 0 weaknesses because of their typing, Ghost plus Dark. At that time, there simply wasn't any type combination that could hit them for super effective damage, until the Fairy type showed up and ruined everything. And for a few generations, these two were just chilling, causing problems for everyone. Right, Cynthia?
Number 8. Shedinja. Alright, now we're talking about a Pokemon that is really annoying, like seriously annoying. Just look at it. This thing has 1 HP, 1 single point. If you just breathe in its direction, it's gone. But here's the catch. It has the ability Wonder Guard, which means it only takes damage from super effective moves. So, since it's Bug Ghost type, if your opponent doesn't have Fire, Flying, Rock, Ghost, or Dark moves, this little guy basically becomes almost immortal. You can send in a Legendary with a massive attack, but if it's something like Water or Fighting, Shedinja just stands there like, nah, that ain't doing anything. This is the ultimate patience test. Either you have the right answer, or you just sit there watching this empty bug shell slowly destroy your entire team while you can't even touch it. Number 9. Swampert, Gastrodon, and Quagsire. Now, this right here is beautiful to see in action. Pokémon like Girafarig, Stantler, and its Hisuian form have access to an ability called Sap Sipper. And what it does is if the Pokémon gets hit by a grass move, instead of taking damage, it gets an attack boost. Now, imagine this. You use Skill Swap again and pass this ability to Swampert, Gastrodon, and Quagsire. Pokémon that normally have only one weakness, grass. My friend, you just created some absolute tanks. That's basically one of the best reverse Uno cards in Pokémon. Your opponent goes, "Finally, I got you with a grass move," and suddenly they just made you stronger. That's painful. Number 10, Terapagos. The Pokémon that is basically all types. Now, this one is kinda new, but definitely worth talking about. Terapagos has a very unique mechanic. Its ability, Tera Shell, does something really interesting. While it's at full HP, its body acts like a perfect barrier. So, you know those classic rules like fire beats grass or fighting beats normal? Yeah, forget that. When Terapagos is at full HP, any move used against it becomes not very effective. It's like it gains a magical resistance against everything, which completely breaks one of the core rules of Pokémon, exploiting weaknesses. Against this thing, you don't just attack, you have to think. It turns the battle into almost a chess match, where your first goal is just, okay, how do I remove 1 HP from this thing, so I can finally break the shell? So yeah, as you can see, not every Pokémon follows the rules the way you expect. Some completely remove their weaknesses, and others just bend the system in their favor. And honestly, that's what makes Pokémon so fun. Because sometimes the weirdest looking Pokémon ends up being the hardest one to deal with. So, tell me down in the comments, which one surprised you the most? And would you use any of these on your team? And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe real quick. See you in the next video. God bless you all, and we're in this together.